Headed to go on a hike, and we're gonna take you guys with us because we are relaunching this season of Dating My Husband. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
So I think ultimately Dating My Husband started because, well, I mean, one of the few pieces of advice we got when we were getting married was that we should have a date night that we systematically do one-on-one time, right? Because I think as life goes on, our responsibilities and duties only grow, and so it's important to start early to carve out that time with one another. And so I believe, well, that's why we started doing date nights, and then you started filming it, and that was kind of another really fun aspect of it. But I think ultimately, yeah, we want to be intentional about growing in intimacy with one another, going on experiences that we'll hopefully remember and enjoy. Because I certainly have watched some of those old Dating My Husband videos and really enjoyed them.
Yeah, you really do like to. He likes to binge watch them once in a while. Yeah,
once in a while. I think I've done it maybe twice, but I binge watch it, and it's fun to look back on these memories, and I mean it's even cooler that we get to share it with people. So I think we're gonna really pursue that here. It's a little hectic, with the whole business thing. We see each other all the time.
Yes, that's a big part of it.
Yeah, and yet we don't necessarily intentionally try to make an event out of things, which I think is kind of a bummer. So that's the best I can do right now.
That's great.
While I'm sitting.
So right now we're on King's Trail.
It's a trail
with lots of lava rocks.
Lots of lava rocks.
This is basically our entire experience, us vlogging each other. This is what we're walking through. It's very ASMR-y.
Can you back up?
You're ruining my ASMR, babe. So for this new season of Dating My Husband, we are doing a 40-day challenge, Brandon and I, and we're doing the Love Dare. It's based off of a book, but basically it's 40 days of loving your spouse better, right? Yeah. Biblically speaking. So today's is about being patient. Yeah, and it's funny because I was reading today's excerpt to Brandon while we were driving here. And there were definitely certain things that popped out that you do, and definitely certain things that popped out that I for sure do.
Spreading poison?
Spreading poison because when you're angry, your anger is often caused by feeling unjust or treated unfairly, right? Your anger stems
that was one of them, yeah. But I think it was just talking about how, if you kind of retaliate in anger, then you're spreading poison. Essentially, and there's a bunch of different ways you can do that. That one was the one that resonated the most.
Oh, and then the part about how dare you versus help me understand. And you were talking about how sometimes you want to try to understand what I'm saying, but saying those words is pretty challenging. Help me understand, because it puts you in a vulnerable situation.
Well, I mean, you kind of gave me credit for that, because I do say that I want to understand.
Yeah.
But in words that are not, sometimes it's more curt, and it's I don't understand.
I don't understand.
Right?
But then when I think you're trying to be patient, you say, I'm trying to understand.
Something, yeah. I soften it up definitely when I'm in the right, space for it. But I think using the words "help me to understand," I could see why that would be better. It would cut through the clutter of, the different ways you can interpret that phrase, right? And if you say, even if you say "help me understand" in a, through gritted teeth, I think still the words
help me.
Yeah, it helps you to more easily interpret it in a way that maybe gives that space, So that's definitely one of the things I want to work on.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever said those words to you. Help me understand.
Yeah, no, you don't. Not at all.
Yeah. What would you say I say?
Well, I think the issue that we run into with you is that you either clam up or you lash out. And that's sort of been the pattern.
Like very extreme.
Yeah, it's one or the other. I mean, it's either like, I don't want to talk right now, and then whenever you do talk, it hasn't really been processed in a way where like you're just like, you're able to identify like, hey, when you do this, I feel a certain way, that whole technique.
Right, like to call out the action versus like attacking the character.
Yeah, and then sharing from a place of your feelings versus like, hey, you did this wrong, because that's at least a starting point to begin to hash out where we can fix things. But yeah, for whatever reason, we haven't cracked that code yet.
Maybe we will through these 40 days.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm really excited because I don't think it's going to be easy for sure, but I think it will be transformational. Yeah, so today's dare is to not say anything negative to your spouse. Like, even if you think it, if it just wants to come out, like, choose to just keep it inside and not spread negativity. So that's today.
I didn't even think about it on the hike. Did you do anything, or did I do anything to be negative?
You didn't really say anything, but I think you were getting annoyed when I couldn't hear you. And I was like trying to hear you, but I was getting annoyed that I couldn't hear you, and that you were getting annoyed at me because I couldn't hear you because the wind and the rocks. But it's good. I think it's not like, oh man, we messed up, it's done, but we're constantly aware of it all day long.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah, that's the point of a challenge, right?
Yeah. Oh, you said, why are you walking so slow? And I almost wanted to bite back at you. But I was like, oh yeah, my left ankle's bothering me. It acts up. Like sometimes in CrossFit for certain movements, and you're like, I didn't know you had an ankle that does that. But I was kind of annoyed. You were accusing me of being a grandma or like whatever.
That is funny though, how I say certain things and you just kind of leap to the worst possible character attack. You
know what it is? It's because you kept talking to me while you're walking away, and the rocks were noisy, the wind. So hold on. So I stopped walking so at least I could mute out the sound of the rocks. And I'm trying to listen to you, and then at that point you're like, the distance isn't helping. And I was trying to explain to you like, hey, I stopped walking so that I could hear you, and by then you didn't want to repeat what you were saying.
See, I think this is one of those examples of miscommunication, because I'm using that instance to draw a pattern of how sometimes I say things like very specifically, and then you kind of blow it up to mean the other day we were having an argument and I said like, I'm not happy with the fact that you're not taking responsibility with this. And you translated that and spoke back to me, you're saying I'm irresponsible. And so I was just noting the pattern there. And it's just funny how like.
But I'm noting the fact that I'm trying to explain my situation instead of just flat out being annoyed with you, because that's how I felt. But I want to be like, hey, I'm stopping right now, so I stop the sounds so that I can hear you, so you don't think that I'm ignoring you or I'm brushing you off. And I'm trying to say that, and then your response was, well, the distance isn't helping. And I'm like, dude, I'm trying to hear you, that's why I stopped. And then you said, why are you walking so slow? Baby, that's how it happened.
I know. I wasn't making any kind of comment about what happened today. I was merely commenting on the fact that, I asked you why you're walking slow, and then you basically came out and said, like, you're basically accusing me of being a grandma, which is, I was nowhere in the realm of, like, baby, you're a slow hiker.
No,
or
but you
are a slow person.
Listen, the way that you said it, though, you turned around and you looked at me. It's in your face expressions or the way, your tone of voice.
My point is,
where you're like, why are you walking so slow? It wasn't like, oh, why are you, like, something happened? Are you injured? It wasn't like a place of care. It was like, what's the holdup?
No, I'm not saying that the guy was very compassionate when I asked that question.
That's what it is, yeah.
I'm not making any sort of justification in terms of how I looked at you.
Video's going well.
I just, this is day one, guys. Yeah, we're going to be great. I'm just saying that it's funny how your mind interprets my actions or behaviors or what I say, even though I don't mean that, right?
That's true. I think I tend to lean more on the mode of like, you're criticizing me.
Yeah.
Or
it's like, even now, it's like, like that example that you continue to bring up is more about your look meant this, and for sure, right?
Mm-hmm. But I think I have a lot of experience to back that up.
Well, regardless, right? This is the patience thing, I think, where you look at that, and frankly, I was doing it that way because I was hot, I was a little flustered, I'm starting to get hungry, I'm worried about the time to get back, right? Which most of that was like my annoyance that I want to like be done with that part of the hike. And even if I have like a track record of like being like just mean-spirited and like condescending towards you, which frankly I think that's
not mean-spirited.
Okay, well, just even if I had that track record, my point is that it just seems like it's very appropriate based on today's challenge, because in that moment you should be able, like, we should both be able to like take a second and assume, what's the thing we have to assume ignorance or incompetence over malice, right? And I think a lot of the times the conclusion you run to is malice.
Yeah.
On my part.
Yeah. That's true.
So quit spreading that poison, girl.
It's like people ask us, what's it like to work together? This is what it's like to work together. Depending on the situation, or both of our moods, I think if we're in a situation where we're doing something that's out of the norm, which is something like this, you and I, we're people that we like to be in air-conditioned situations. We don't like to be hungry. We definitely get hangry. And if we're in a situation where there's a chance of both of us being irritable, right? It's quicker for me to jump to the fact that you're like kind of taking out your annoyance on me, instead of me being like, oh, he must be hot and there must be something else going on and it's not about me. But I do take it personally. Yeah, and I think it's only exacerbated by the fact that I too was hot, hungry, my ankle was bothering me, and so it's just, you gotta stop spreading that poison around. Wow.
Whoa. That's so cool.
That is so impressive.
Nice work. It's
very dangerous to get these, right now is the best time for getting when there's no swell.
Yeah.
So what I didn't mention earlier is that before we started this devotional, there's an assessment that you can take online. It's at lovedaretest.com. So yesterday we each took the assessment, and it gives you a pulse check of where you think you are in terms of how well you're loving your spouse in different categories, okay? So I don't know Brandon's scores. He doesn't know mine. What was your overall score?
Well, out of 1,000, I got 694.
And I was like, oh no, I scored so much lower than you. I got 443 out of 1,000. And he was like, of course you did. Like, you're probably really hard on yourself. But I don't know. I think I have a lot of work to do. Shut up. So we've got the categories of attention, acceptance, affirmation, affection, allowing, apology, and abiding. And we'll just give you like a brief breakdown of what each of them are. The first category is attention. And it says, attention means that we are noticed, that our words, feelings, and experiences are heard. It's the opposite of being ignored. So how do you think you did towards me out of 143?
Well, I think they scored me a little low here, but I got 129.
So you're really good at paying attention to me.
Yeah, in fact, you were complimenting me last night on this.
Was I?
Yeah, because I was reading a book, and then you were like totally getting all up on my personal space.
That's true. Sometimes I do this for fun, where when you're concentrating on something, I just keep wanting to talk to you, and you always put down whatever you're doing to talk to me. So I will give you that. I really do appreciate that. I got a 93.
out of 143. Do you think that's accurate? Do you feel like I don't pay enough attention to you?
Sometimes.
How?
I don't know. It really depends. No, you pay attention to me.
You know what, though? I'm not as good about dropping what I'm doing to stop and listen to you and give you my full attention. Like, literally, you can be so immersed in a task. And I remember 2 days ago, I came over to you and I wanted you to help me figure out how to peel this sticker off. And you stopped what you were doing. You, like, Googled it. You started typing in Korean to find the exact brand. That was really nice.
Well, I mean, I think that's like those problem-solving adventures are fun for me.
Yeah, but you never get annoyed at me whenever I stop you for something as stupid as help me figure out how to use these stickers.
I think my problem with this is that with this
the assessment?
Yeah, the assessment overall is some of the questions were asked like, do you do this always, right? And I don't know that it's always appropriate to always like be, accepting, for example.
Does it say always? I thought it was just in the answer choices.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean, though. And but my feeling is that they score you based on do you do it perfectly? Because like a lot of these, I did answer in terms of frequently or, often or whatever. But,
yeah, I don't think I picked always for anything because I just think that's not true.
Yeah, and I don't think that's good in some cases.
Right.
And so, I mean, I guess that's just my overall thoughts on this. And the other thing you were mentioning was how, well, the self-reports are always a little dicey because not everybody has a good sense of themselves. Like, if I had taken this 6 or 7 years ago, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, I think I would have gotten so many wrong. That being said, I could tell as I was taking this, whenever there was an error, or I was right in between something, I'm like, I probably do better than I expect. Whereas I know everyone, you're talking yourself out of the score. You think,
better.
Yeah,
I should be doing better.
Yeah, I don't accept him when he plays games for days.
Each one, based on your score, they color coded to let you know the colors indicate different things. So, for example, mine came out blue, which means it's likely a strength of mine, the attention that I paid to you. Yours came out green, which means it's a clear strength.
Oh.
You see that?
Yeah.
So mine, it says, this is a likely strength, and for me to strengthen it further, days 3, 4, 18, 30, and 31 of this Love Dare challenge will help me exercise that and strengthen my ability to pay attention to you. So what I went ahead and did is, on the days that it's blue, I've put a blue box on the days where things are clear strength. I guess as I am going into the day, I have an idea of, oh, this is something that I'm kind of good at already and I can be better at it. Or here is a red flag, I probably need to work on this. Next one, acceptance goes a step deeper than attention. Acceptance says that I not only see you, hear you, and acknowledge you, but I accept who you are. Stop trying to look at my answer.
Where did you get that?
It does not mean I approve, endorse, or agree with everything my spouse is doing, but I largely give them the gift of accepting the person they are. So, what's your score towards me?
Well, I mean, I got 86 out of 143, but it says likely weakness, which is the same as yours.
So I got 57 out of 143. So the next one is affirmation / appreciation, and this goes a step further than acceptance. I not only accept who you are, but I actually delight in who you are. I am moved to gratitude when I consider you and your qualities. Oh, moved to gratitude. I didn't even see that. And I don't keep that gratitude to myself, but rather I find ways to express it. How did you score?
Oh, it says clear strength here.
Damn, son. 121?
Yeah.
Wow, you think you always appreciate me? And you let it be known?
I think I do frequently.
Oh.
I don't know if I answered always, but...
Well, I think I do.
You do.
And I scored lower than you. I got a 107.
But this is what I mean about, like, your harshness towards yourself.
Yours
like,
is a clear strength. Mine is a likely strength.
I think the real key to this whole thing is not my self-report about how I feel I'm doing, but whether or not you agree with that. And I think that's really... Because perception is reality in a lot of sense in terms of how people view you. And so even if like I think that I'm doing well in this area, it really matters more how you feel I'm doing in terms of affirming your strengths, or not even just your strengths, like your, what you do around the house. And so I guess as I'm seeing that, I might think that perhaps there are certain areas where You would want more appreciation.
I think it's a strength of yours.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a clear strength.
Yeah.
I honestly thought I would score higher than you in this area. So the next one is affection. Flows from an authentic appreciation for and liking of another person. It's the overflow of which expresses itself physically, verbally, and in kind deeds and thoughtful gestures. The desire to be touched is a core longing of the human heart.
I got 79 out of 143.
I got 50. So these are likely weaknesses for both of us.
Yeah.
Being affectionate. Interesting. So there's casual affection, playful affection, passionate affection, and compassionate affection.
Ooh, yeah. See, that's why I wouldn't. My compassionate affection's pretty low.
Sitting close, listening, being held, comforting words.
I never do that.
That's true. We're not always like this with each other, right? Next one, allowing. This is the opposite of being or feeling controlled, restricted, or manipulated. Allowing means inviting and enabling your spouse to be themselves, which is similar to acceptance, yet is deeper and higher because it opens wide the door for exploration and growth. It validates abilities, talents, and interests. It encourages development.
I got clear strength. This is my highest score.
Wow.
136 out of 143.
You do. I would say this is a strength of yours too. Yeah, you are very allowing. I got 93. So this is a likely strength.
I know you're always boxing me in.
I'm pinching him under the table. Say nice things about me. Next, apology. Unfortunately, even with the best of intentions, we often forget and neglect to offer attention, acceptance, appreciation, affection, and allowance to our spouse. But sadly, we sometimes withhold or withdraw one or more of these intentionally. It's at these times that we need to recognize we haven't loved our spouse well and that they deserve our confession and apology. Apologies must be sincere, and depending on the offense, they may need to include a request for forgiveness and a pledge of repentance.
Ooh.
Honey, I'm really sorry for what I said. I know it was mean-spirited and hurtful. Please forgive me. Bless you.
Sorry.
You didn't deserve it, and that's not how I want to treat you.
Wow. I'd love to see that from once in a while.
Okay. What do you think my score was here?
If I had to answer for you, it would be pretty low. Yeah.
Like, give me a number out of 143.
Maybe like a 30, 20.
Wow.
25? 23.
Wow.
Is that too low?
It's lower.
It's lower than that?
It's lower.
I was being generous. I don't know that... Like, you had definitely gotten better with apologizing.
Yeah, for sure. But this isn't in my nature.
Ooh, I don't want to say it's not in your nature.
It's not. It's not, though. I'm not like... Hey, like, it's hard for me to vulnerably apologize. I feel like I've only really exercised it with you. I can't say that I've done it a whole lot outside of my relationships. Outside of my relationship with you.
Interesting.
Like, I didn't grow up doing that.
So this is a clear weakness for you.
This is,
What did you get?
This is, hold on. Is it a clear weakness? It's a clear weakness. This is red for me. I got a 14.
You got a 14?
14 out of 143. But look how honest I was in my answer. Do you forgive me?
You better have some repentance up in there. I'm going to mark those days in my calendar.
Days 5,
red.
13,
Red.
25, 26, 35, and 40. Those are going to be the ones where it's going to help me to further understand your need in this area and for me to consider helpful and welcome changes.
Sounds very sincere. Sounds very sincere. Abiding, what's that?
I know, that's exactly what I said. So the last one, abiding. Abiding speaks of a close and connected personal relationship with God. Right? So spouses who make it a priority to stay closely connected, abiding in one another and abiding in God form a strong and healthy marital triangle. One that these couples experience as both enjoyable and mutually satisfying. Yeah.
I'm seeing your score right now.
Why are you looking? I'm purposely
You're
not
like
looking at
showing
yours.
it
No,
to
I'm
me.
not. I'm purposely doing this. You're sticking your
You're leaning.
big old head towards me. Darling, what did you get?
I got 86 out of 143.
So that's a likely weakness for you.
Yes.
Mine's a clear weakness.
29.
29. I'm always like, God, let me handle this one. We don't want you to be in this mess.
Let me fix it before you get out.
Let me fix it. Let me fix it before you get here. But anyway, yeah, that was a clear weakness. So you have nothing that's a clear weakness.
I have no weaknesses, baby. Just likely. It's borderline.
I mean, really, then I should be doing this by myself, right?
That's what I've been trying to say this whole time.
Anyway, so that's day one. We got a long road ahead.
I probably said a lot of negative things just now.
It's been fun though, I think. I think just this is day one, and even just on the hike and right after the hike, we did have a few laughs about certain things that we've recognized in each other and things we've admitted to, and yeah.
We could do a photo with.
Oh, maybe we can carve our names. Oh my gosh, it does look like a video game. Hold on. Look at those tree roots in the water. Wow, that looks amazing. This looks big.
So we thought we'd take this chance, or this opportunity,
to update you on the Love Dare Challenge. Ask your spouse to tell you 3 things that cause him or her to be uncomfortable or irritated with you.
You've been talking a lot about how I make noises.